Lansing's only sports station. The Game, 7:30.
Let's play.
It's the end of an era in Saginaw, and the Student Advisory Council is looking for 8 new members. I'm John Ross, and this is This Week in High School Sports, powered by Michigan Student Aid. On Friday night, the boys basketball teams from Saginaw High and Arthur Hill will meet for the final time ever in the regular season. It's a rivalry that started in 1910 and has seen each school win multiple state titles. After the school year, the two schools are consolidating into a new one, Saginaw United High School. The final regular season matchup will be played at the Dow Event Center in Saginaw, and 5,000 tickets for the game sold out in just minutes. Former Arthur Hill coach Dave Slaggert is writing a book on the rivalry titled Remember the Trojans and the Lumberjacks, and according to his research, either Saginaw or Arthur Hill has made the state quarterfinals 47 times. 36 times one of those teams reached the semifinals. The two have played in 18 MHSAA championship games, with Saginaw winning 6 times and Arthur Hill winning twice. Current and former NBA stars like Draymond Green and Jason Richardson have played in this game, as well as former NFL players like Lamar Woodley and Charles Rogers. That first game 114 years ago was won by Saginaw High. The winner Friday will have bragging rights for a long time, unless the two meet again in the postseason. They are in different districts but could meet up again for the final last time in the regional semifinals. The boys basketball district brackets will be posted on Sunday, February 18th. Log on to MHSAA.com to see the path to the Breslin Center for Saginaw High, Arthur Hill, and everyone else looking to keep their season going deep into March. It's time for Game Balls, when we highlight a trio of standout performances from the past week. First, Negaunee Ella Mason. She poured in 30 points in a 57-53 win over Ishpeming. It was the first loss of the year for Ishpeming and moved Negaunee to 17-1 on the season. Alcona's Garrett Summers, his 16 points led Alcona in a 44-38 win over Mayo. The victory secured Mayo's first ever North Star League boys basketball title. And a Holt bowler, Nick Shaberg. He won a third straight CAAC singles championship, rolling a 5-21 total in the championship match.
For high school seniors, the matchup of the year isn't on the field. It's actually online. That's right. When you fill out the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, you could also be eligible for thousands of dollars in additional money from the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. Yep, nearly 80% of students who fill out the FAFSA may be eligible. Now that's a matchup we can all root for. Get started today at michigan.gov/achievement. The Michigan Achievement Scholarship. It's a game changer.
Our weekly Be the Referee feature takes a look at the fine art of officiating with the MHSAA's Director of Officiating Services, Sam Davis.
Cheerleaders, usually at the college level, get in the sports headlines whenever an accident occurs, causing a serious injury. In Michigan, the sport of competitive cheer doesn't make the news in that regard. Why? Because this sport, created by Michigan schools, has built-in safety guidelines for competition, including the proper matting and the rules which prohibit dangerous stunts, and safety judges observing the routines. Middle school competitive cheer is more restrictive, allowing the focus to be on the fundamentals that will provide a safe foundation when these athletes transition into high school and beyond. This format is exclusive to Michigan, and just another way that high school sports takes the extra step to make the games our athletes play as safe as they can possibly be.
Thanks, Sam. Now more than ever, we need officials. If you're interested, go to the MHSAA website now to register. If you're a student athlete in the class of 2026 who is interested in joining the MHSAA Student Advisory Council, now is the time to apply. The council discusses issues dealing with the 4 S's: scholarship, sportsmanship, safety, and scope. A 5th S, student leadership, is also a common topic. We're looking for 8 new members, 4 boys and 4 girls, to join our existing 8 members from the class of 2025. If selected, you would serve for 2 years and help the council promote the educational value of interscholastic athletics. Members help plan sportsmanship summits, captain's clinics, and other student leadership events. They also help hand out medals and trophies at MHSAA championship events. Council meets 6 times a year, plus attend a 24-hour summer leadership camp. It's a great way to strengthen your leadership skills, meet student athletes from across the state, and get an up-close and personal look at how high school sports are managed. To apply, please go to MHSAA.com. Applications are due by 4:30 p.m. on Monday, April 22nd. You've been listening to This Week in High School Sports, powered by Michigan Student Aid, a production of the MHSAA Network. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Ross, and we'll be back next week.
The Game, 7:30 a.m. WVFN.
And a pleasant good Saturday morning to everyone listening out there. This is High School Rewind on the Game, 7:30 a.m. WVFN and the Lansing Sports Network. This is the weekly show that recaps the week that was in high school boys and girls basketball. Had a busy week this week. A lot of things settled. But first, we need to tell you, it's brought to you today and all season long by Jeff and Chris Metz and Downing Industries. If you're wondering what your future holds and you're not going to college, or you found out college just isn't for you, check out the future that skilled trades can offer you. You'll be surprised. Check them out at downingindustries.com. And, of course, by Megan Zemer and her great staff at the Lansing Sports Commission. No matter the sport, the Lansing Sports Commission can make your next event your best event. Plan on something greater. Find out more at lansingsports.org. Lots of things settled on the boys and girls side as far as league races go. Congratulations to Mason for winning the outright league championship. They were able to be victorious earlier this week to clinch the outright CAAC Red Championship. They are now 19-2 overall. Is Mason? They just flat out get it done. And they are just they are an absolute factor. They beat Eastern on Thursday night, 82-60. Caleb Parrish, who is wrestling on the regional championship wrestling team, they're headed to states next week. Caleb Parrish, all he did have 23 points, 12 rebounds in their victory over Eastern to clinch the outright league championship in the CAAC Red. They're 9-0 in league play. They got one more league game to go, but they've got it clinched outright. Also, congratulations to Sexton. First league title since 2012. That's 12 years ago. Sexton took care of Ionia last night at home, 67-44. Outright league champs. They are 13-4 overall, 12-0 in the CAAC White. Congratulations to DeLeon Deering, first-year head coach, and lead assistant Dale Beard. Hi, Coach, if you're listening. Congratulations to Sexton. First league title since Carlton Valentine was the head coach there a dozen years ago. Congratulations to them. They could be a factor in the Division II coming up later on in this season. Also, congratulations to Langsburg. Outright CMAC champs once again. Undefeated in league play, undefeated overall. They're 21-0, 17-0 in league play. All they got just one league game to go. And, man, Xander Woodruff is, making history as far as the Langsburg team goes. Just a tremendous week, tremendous season for him. But, man, he topped it off with a huge 52-point performance at Freeland. And Freeland's no joke team. Freeland was ranked 6th in Division II, 16-1 going into that game, and Langsburg finished the game with a 16-0 run to finish the game, and that's on the road, folks. Langsburg came back. They were down double figures, and then came back on the road to beat a top 10 team, 72-65. Xander Woodruff, he's going to be All-State again. He was All-State last year in Division III. He's going to be All-State this year, but I think he's got a legit chance to be Division III State Player of the Year. He's been that good this season, scoring whatever they need. They need him to score 40 to win, he'll score 40. If they need him to score 30 and Ty Randall or somebody else to get into double figures and have close to a double-double, he can do that too. Coach Tim Beebe done a very good job in his first season, but that is very impressive. Congratulations to Langsburg, outright league champs. And congratulations to East Lansing. They were able to clinch a share of the league championship in the CAAC Blue. They are 10-0 in league play. And they got 2 league games left. And they finished the season against Okemos. The reason they clinched a share of the league championship with that win, with a win last night, is because Waverly went on the road to beat. And by the way, East Lansing beat DeWitt last night, 64-40. KJ Torbert having a terrific sophomore season. He had a dozen points in that game, and the reason, as I alluded to there before I interrupted myself, was Waverly coming from behind to tie Okemos at the end of regulation and then beat him in overtime 69-65. That was on Monday night. They had 3 players in double figures. DeShante Malone had 17 points. Derek Thomas II did not score in the first half, did not start, but scored all 16 of his points in the second half. And then in overtime, he was tremendous and battled foul trouble as well. He had 16 points. And also Deontay Pfeiffer, he had 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 blocks in that game. So the East Lansing's got a 2-game lead with 2 games to go. And so they clinch a share of the league championship in the CAAC Blue. So that's what we got there on the boys' side. Oh, yes, I know I said last week that we were going to go over the boys' district matchups. Well, those aren't going to be made public until tomorrow. So next Saturday on this show, High School Rewind, we will go over the boys' district tournament pairings. And we'll go over those one by one, and we'll talk to Brian Calloway about that. By the way, Brian Calloway coming up a little bit later on in this show today. On the girls' side, game of the week this week, well, it was the game I was at. Me and Brian were at this one on Tuesday night at Portland High School. Portland gets revenge on Lansing Catholic to a certain degree of revenge. Portland, only loss of the season was to Lansing Catholic. That was back in January. They lost by 20-plus points. But Portland, behind some outstanding defense and a great shooting performance by Malia Thalen, Portland beat Lansing Catholic at home 51-44 to pull into a tie. Or, well, they're actually a half-game lead right now. Portland's only got 1 league game to go. Catholic has 2. But Portland, 10-1 in league play. Lansing Catholic, 9-1 in league play. And could play a third time coming up in the district tournament, which Portland hosts coming up in a couple of weeks. Malia Thalen, 27 points. She was 5 for 5 from the free throw line. She had 4 3-pointers. Portland as a team, 12 of 13 from the free throw line, and they even out-rebounded Lansing Catholic 21-18. Malia's sister Lily had 10 points. She had 7 rebounds as well. Anna Richards, 20 points. Leah Richards, 13. But they held All-State candidate Gabby Hallowell, who's had a terrific senior season. They held her to only 5 points on the night. Portland's defense was outstanding. Catholic were without Tessa Rowe, one of their regular starters. But hey, that happens sometimes, unfortunately. But Portland was able to win at home 51-44. So it looks like that's going to be a share of the league championship. And also, congratulations to Williamston. Williamston's the outright league champs in the CAAC Red. They were able to win it last night, beating Fowlerville 56-28. Reese Gaitan, 18 points to lead coach Pete Cool's roster. A lot of people did not think that Williamston would win the CAAC Red. A lot of people thought Hazlitt would, but Williamston beat Hazlitt twice, and they clinched the outright championship with a victory last night to get to 9-0 in league play. They are 14-4 overall, is Williamston. Also, congratulations to DeWitt. They clinched a share of the league championship on Thursday in the CAAC Blue in the game that you heard here on the game 7:30 a.m. WVFN. It was DeWitt over East Lansing 54-42. And Coach Bill McCullen rode his junior guards, who are just outstanding. Tara Kearns, 20 points, despite foul trouble. She had some foul trouble, as did Maddie Ewell. But Maddie Ewell, 16 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and made the free throws they had to make in the final stretch to really put the game away. East Lansing made a couple of runs at them they got it down to 4 points in the second half on 2 separate occasions, but DeWitt was able to stretch it out, and a nice job in the last 3.5 minutes, going to a delay, playing some keep away, and East Lansing eventually had to foul, and DeWitt made their free throws to get the victory there. East Lansing out-rebounded DeWitt in that game, 26-22. That's a rarity. You get out-rebounded in a game, and you still figure out a way to win. They are 10-0 on the season in the CAAC Blue, 17-2 overall, and they will go for the outright league championship when they play Holt next week. I believe that game is on Tuesday. Win that game, and they're outright league champs once again. And we've talked all season what a jumbled mess in a positive sense that the CMAC is. Well, it's sifted its way out, and the cream has risen to the top, and it's Portland, St. Pat's, and Fowler. Not that there aren't other good teams. We've talked to Bath coach Gabe Soa earlier this season, but St. Pat's and Fowler have risen to the top. St. Pat's 14-1 in league play. Fowler is 13-2 in the league. and they both have 3 games left in the league play. And it's going to be them. But I got to tell you, the middle of the CMAC is really, really good. This is a league that's 6 teams deep that are really, really good. Bath is 11-4 in league play. Dansville and PW are both they're both 10-5 in league play, and Langsburg 9-6 in league play. Langsburg struggled last year, but Langsburg better this year, 11-7. And Langsburg could end up being the 6th place team in the CMAC. That shows you how deep that CMAC is. Also in the others category, well, Ovid Elsie, they're 15-2 now. Ava Bates, Braden Tokar, they are leading the Lady Marauders. They were regional champs last year, and they got a chance to go that far, if not further, this season. Tokar had 20 points in the Marauders win last night over Durand. And they won a share of the Mid-Michigan Athletic Conference title by a winning last night. They are undefeated in league play, so congratulations to Coach Dr. Ryan Cunningham and his Lady Marauders for winning that. There are no games on the girls' side today and just 1 game on the boys' side. It's a big one. Sexton is at Eastern. That game is this afternoon in the non-conference play. Hard to believe. I mean, Sexton and Eastern, crosstown rivals, big arch rivals, not playing in the same league anymore. But they'll be playing this afternoon over at Eastern High School. Coming up after this break, the veteran 28th-year head coach for the DeWitt Lady Panthers. He is Coach Bill McCullen, and he's going to be joining me on the other side of this break. This is High School Rewind here on the game, 730 AM WVFN and the Lansing Sports Network, brought to you by Jeff and Chris Metz and Dowding Industries and the Lansing Sports Commission.
WVFN.
Welcome back to High School Rewind here on the game, 730 AM WVFN. I need to make a correction. I did say, and thanks to Craig in Lansing for calling me. Thank you for listening, Craig, and correcting me. Yes, I said that the Sexton Eastern boys game was at Eastern High School. No, I was wrong. Just add it to the list of the stuff I get wrong sometimes. Well, more than sometimes. That game is at Sexton High School, Clayton Colwalk Gym, Eastern at Sexton this afternoon at 2 o'clock. So if you can make it out there and watch crosstown rivals do battle on the boys' side, by all means, get out there. If I didn't have prior commitments to this afternoon, I would be out there to watch that one. So Eastern at Sexton boys this afternoon at 2 o'clock. That should be a good ball game. Right now, though, we're talking girls basketball with the veteran 28th-year head coach at DeWitt High School. They are the CAAC Blue co-champs. He is at DeWitt High School, and he's Coach Bill McCullen. Coach, thanks so much for coming on.
Good morning, Brock.
Good morning to you, sir. Sounds like you're on your way going somewhere, judging by the phone connection there. Where are you headed today?
Yeah, it's senior day at Hillsdale College, and so I'm heading over to watch one of our former players, Sydney Mills, in her last home game.
Oh, good for her. Good for you, heading down there. Not too much of a drive, is it? What, hour and a half?
Yeah, from my house, it's about hour 45.
Okay. All right. Well, good. What time's game time?
It's at 1, but there's a little reception for the seniors before that. So
I got
we're trying to get there for that.
I got you. Yeah, totally understand. By the way, the phone connection sounds good. Shouldn't have any problems. And right now, your team doesn't really have too many problems right now. You're 17-2 overall. You're 10-0 in the CAAC Blue. You're CAAC Blue co-champs at least. And this after you beat East Lansing at home 54-42. Score a little bit misleading. You had a double-digit lead on a couple of different occasions, but East Lansing made a couple of runs to get it down to 4 on a couple of occasions, once in the third quarter, once in the fourth quarter. When East Lansing made those runs, what'd you tell the kids that got you going and got you eventually a 12-point win?
Well, I think we just had some veteran players step up at those moments. I know Matty Ewell had a big 3 at one point when they got it to 4.
Yep.
And I think we got fouled a couple times and hit some free throws as well, just to keep it not necessarily comfortable, but to expand that margin a little bit more down the stretch.
And you did. You ended up winning 54-42. East Lansing out-rebounded you 26-22. It's rare that you win a game and get beat on the rebounding battle, because most of the time if you win the rebounding battle, you're going to win.
Yeah, for sure. And they've got a big team, and we certainly don't. So, we talked about the importance of crashing the boards, and I thought our kids competed on the glass.
Oh, yeah.
It ended up, almost even, and I think over there we out-rebounded them at their place, but it's a challenge because they've got some good post players.
Talking with Bill McCullen, the 28th year head coach for DeWitt girls basketball, CAAC Blue co-champs. When we had a chance to talk to you after the game, which we don't always do on our broadcast, but we did on a Thursday night, we could have started talking about Maddie Ewell and Tara Kearns. We know how good those junior guards are, and Maddie Ewell was Eric's choice for player of the game, 16 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, kind of speaks for itself. But the first player you mentioned was on the defensive end, Lainey Hanlon. She did not score in the game. She had 4 steals. She had 1 rebound, only 1 rebound, but she had 4 steals, and she was the first player you mentioned. Why?
Well, Lainey does a lot of things that may not get noticed. She pays attention to the scouting report, and sometimes she's one of the people that we have in good help side position, to try and help out our kids who have a tough matchup. And I thought she really got us going, though, in our full court pressure with some deflections and steals in that first quarter, and just helped to set the tone that we were going to be, we were going to be aggressive and attack defensively.
And you did. The press did cause East Lansing some problems, and you were able to get out to a lead in the second quarter. It was only 15-13 at the end of the first quarter, but you got out to a 10-point lead at the half, 33-23, before East Lansing made the first of 2 runs. You talk about the defense. You defended the three-point shot very, very well. They had only 1 3-point basket in the entire game, and that was Ariana James. Had one in the second half. Was that a point of emphasis too?
It definitely was. They've got some good shooters, and I think that was even a step back 3 that she made that was contested,
which she can make. Yeah, she's good enough.
Yeah, for sure. And that we knew that was a big part of their game, but also they can take you off the dribble too, and so they can beat you in a lot of different ways.
Yes, they can. And this is a much improved East Lansing squad. East Lansing, historically, great program under former coach Rob Smith. Really struggled last year, 4-16. But Tori Brooks, the former Holt coach, took them to the quarterfinals last year, first year at East Lansing, at one of her alma maters. I mean, you coached her senior year at DeWitt High School, and she's turning into a very good coach, and she's turned them around in the right direction in one season, really. Like I said, 4-16 last year. They're a heck of a lot more competitive this season at 11-6 right now, and looks like they're going to finish 3rd in the league.
Yeah, I'm really proud of Tori. She's done a nice job there. She did a great job at Holt, and she's a really competitive person. I had the good fortune to coach her junior and senior year, and her junior year, she was a really big part of helping us get to the semifinals that season.
Yeah, absolutely, and she's shown how good a coach that she is. We're talking with Bill McCullen, the DeWitt head coach. 28th year head coach. All right, your CAAC Blue co-champs right now. You've got 2 league games coming up, but they're not going to be easy. Coming up on Tuesday, you got to go to Holt, which is the only team that could catch you for a tie. That'll be a big ball game. Holt, not quite as good as they were last year, only because Janae Tyler's not there anymore, and she's at Kent State. But they still got very good guards: Claire Tobias, Rima Dozier, Allie Metzger. They've got them. Holt, I got to tell you, Holt's better than I thought that they would be this year. I thought they'd be somewhere around 500. They're going to be better than that, and largely due to the players I just mentioned.
Yeah, I think they've surprised some people, and they're very good. It's just a different kind of team this year. They were very focused on getting the ball to Tyler last year, and with good reason. But all of those guards have a wealth of experience there. So we did a nice job against them at our place, and we're going to have to try and get the job done again Tuesday. They still have an opportunity, like you said, to get a piece of the league, and so we're going to do everything we can to get a victory over there.
What do you do against another? You have a very excellent guard tandem. What do you do defensively to try to contain their guard tandem, or when you face teams that have really good guards?
Yeah, it's. I think the matchups are pretty solid across the board with our two teams, and I think Holt really shoots a lot of threes. You talk about East Lansing as a 3-point shooting team, but there are several really good perimeter shooters on the Holt team, and so we've got to make sure we got a hand up at all times and try and chase them off the line. That's not to say that they can't, get to the basket on you, but I think, especially with Dozier and Metzger, they've had a lot of success behind the arc this year.
Speaking with the 28th-year head coach for DeWitt girls basketball, Coach Bill McCullen. And then after that, it's senior night, the 22nd. That'll be next Tuesday against Waverly at home. Waverly, competitive this season, 7-10 on the season. Not the greatest record, but they're competitive. Waverly's always competitive. What does senior night mean to you as when you're coaching the players that are going to be playing their last home game? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's a special night every year, and I think it's a major accomplishment for somebody to stick with it and be a varsity athlete and go all the way through to the senior year. Especially in basketball, where that might only be a couple people or a few people that do that in each grade, and so we're excited for Lainey and Emily, to play their last home game, and it's not going to be an easy one. Waverly always plays us tough.
And, that's Lainey Hanlon and Emily Wolf playing for DeWitt. I got to ask you about your starting guards. I mean, they've played since they were freshmen. That's Madison Ewell and Tara Kearns. I have loved how aggressive they are on the offensive end. Tara is just fearless. If she's open, she's going to shoot it. We saw that a few times last night. Sometimes shot selection, not the greatest, but you know what? I love the aggressiveness. So many times I see freshmen and sophomores that make varsity. They're absolutely scared to shoot because they don't want to get screamed at by their coach for taking, what the player thinks is a good shot, but what the coach thinks is a bad shot. I love their fearlessness, and Maddie Ewell is just turning into a really good all-around player, as evidenced by her game Thursday night. 16 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. And we know about Tara Kearns. She had 20 points, and she made all her free throws on Thursday.
She did. They're both just great competitors, and I've known these two kids since they were babies. So it's been fun to watch them grow up. In and around the program.
They're still growing too.
They're only juniors, and we've had a nice run together so far.
So their aggressiveness. They seem to be getting better defensively too. Still kind of a work in progress, but it seems like they're getting better defensively too.
Yeah, well, and a lot of times, they're undersized, but both play very physical and as you said, fearless, really, and not afraid to stick their nose in there and guard somebody, who might be a little bit bigger than them or even faster than them. But they've been extremely consistent for us too, and that's one of the things that we value in our program is just as a team and as individuals, we want to put a consistent product out on the court, and I think we can rely on those two to give us what they give us every night.
And you found your third scorer this season, Carly Dennis. Even though she struggled against East Lansing, she's become that third scorer for you. She only had 3 points against East Lansing, but other than that, she's been really, really good as your third scorer. When you got good guards like you got with Maddie and Tara, you also need that third scorer to provide some offense, and she's done that for the most part this season.
She has, and the first time we played East Lansing, she had a huge night offensively, and was a big part of that. Why we pulled away in that victory. I saw it on Thursday night. She really battled with their posts and almost to a stalemate, and she's given up 5 or 6 inches to some of the people that she's guarding down there, and so was proud of that effort. I'm sure she, would like to have been more effective on the offensive end, but she's a team player and knows what the most important stat is at the end of the night.
Yeah, even though she struggled offensively, she really worked defensively against Kaylee King and others with East Lansing. Hey, you're going to have bad offensive nights sometimes. Final question for Coach Bill McCullen, 28th year head coach for DeWitt. Districts are coming up in a couple of weeks. You're in the St. John's district with Grand Ledge, Eastern, Waverly, and St. John's. You are the favorite to win that district, but Grand Ledge has played much better in the second half of the season. Waverly is you're going to get a good primer to see how good Waverly is when you play them next week. And St. John's, the home district team, they lost twice last week at 9-9. How do you? What do you tell your players when you get into a district that you're going to be favored in? I mean, you're favored. The players know you're favored. What do you tell the players to keep them grounded and keep them thinking, one game at a time and don't take anybody lightly?
Yeah, it's the old adage. It's a brand new season, and I think regardless of how teams' regular seasons played out for them, everybody kind of has a new life. New fresh feeling going into that tournament. And so anybody who's watched enough basketball knows that crazy things happen at tournament time. And, you can be a good team, but you also have to play well and have some good fortune, in the tournament. And, we're still kind of looking at what the draw is even going to be at this point. I think based on MPR that we will probably be the number one seed, and
that way.
I think it's still too close to call for the number 2 seed, which will then rotate around, what those Monday night games look like.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're excited. I mean, our primary goal every year is we want to win our own conference, and you're battling your arch rivals for 3 months, and we've got a piece of that so far, and then. It's like this with everybody else, too. I mean, you get to the district and you got to play some of these same people for a third time, which is never easy.
No, it's not, and that's coming up in a couple of weeks. Coach Bill McCullen, drive safely down to Hillsdale. Thanks so much for coming on. We'll be watching. You might see me Tuesday night at Holt High School watching the girls play.
Okay, thanks, Brock. Have a good weekend.
You too. Coach Bill McCullen, he's the best. DeWitt, 28th year head coach at DeWitt High School. Yes, they are 17-2 on the season. CAAC Blue co-champs, and if they beat Holt on the road coming up on Tuesday night, they will be outright league champs once again. We'll take a timeout and come back. I'll be joined by Brian Calloway, prep sports editor of the Lansing State Journal, LSJ.com. This is High School Rewind on the game 730 AM WVFN and the Lansing Sports Network, brought to you by Dowding Industries and by the Lansing Sports Commission.
Lansing Sports Leader, the game, 730 AM.
Joining us once again on High School Rewind, the prep sports editor of the Lansing State Journal, LSJ.com. He is Brian Calloway. All right, we got to go all the way back to Monday. We'll start on the boys' side. And one of the best performances, probably the best performance of the week, occurred on Monday. And that's when the All-Stater Xander Woodruff set a career-high school record, 52 points, to lead number 1 ranked Langsburg in Division III to a big road win at top 10 ranked Freeland in Division II. They were 16-1 going into that game, and Langsburg finished the game on a 16-0 run to get a huge road win. Xander Woodruff, I mean, he's the school's all-time leading scorer. He's going to be Division III All-State once again. He was last year, but he's got a legit chance to be Division III Player of the Year in the entire state, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just with the way that he performed this season, the numbers that he's put up, I mean, he's averaging 30.8 points a game, 32.8 points per game, I believe it was, following that performance on Monday against Freeland as well, too. But, yeah, he's definitely making a steady case for himself to be in that Player of the Year conversation for Division III as the Associated Press names. And obviously, too, I mean, what they do in the state tournament can obviously help that, so more voters can get their eyes on him and, get to see how talented he is. But, definitely has built quite the resume so far with all his performances this season. I mean, I think he's gone over 40 points 4 times this year, I believe, as well.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think he had 40. His first game was in December. He's got a couple more in January, and then obviously the game he had against Freeland as well, too. Just, kind of the cherry on top of what's been a season of strong and dominant performances.
Yeah, and team-wise, well, they're the outright CMHC champs. They clinched it this week. They're 21-0, 17-0 in league play. They're the outright league champs again. And you talked about Ty Randall, the team's quarterback during the football season, coming back from injury. He's made a difference on the court, too. And Xander Woodruff has enough help around him where they can make another deep run, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, for them, I think that win Monday over Freeland, which was ranked number 6 in Division II, I think that speaks to maybe some of the things that this group is able to accomplish, because Freeland was a pretty strong team, and that obviously was 16-1 entering that game as well, too. So to pick up a win like that over a Division II top 10 team, I think it speaks volumes for maybe what they can do in the state tournament. And once they are in Division III play, obviously there's going to be some challenges there, for them, down the road. But obviously they're looking like a team that can make it to the Breslin Center.
Brian Calloway, Prep Sports Editor of the Lansing State Journal. All right, the other big game that occurred on Monday had big CAAC Blue implications. I was at this one at Okemos High School, and Waverly comes from behind and wins at Okemos, 69-65 in overtime. Derek Thomas did not score in the first half, but scored all 16 of his points in regulation and in overtime, and DeShante Malone had 17. And it was just a great road win for Waverly. They've got a chance to finish tied for second in the CAAC Blue, depending on what happens. But a great win for Waverly. Rough loss for Okemos, because that loss probably gives East Lansing the outright league title.
Yeah, definitely. A tough loss for Okemos, which had been just a game behind East Lansing for pretty much most of the season since those teams first met. And but obviously Waverly. That's pretty impressive for them, because, 2 days or 3 days prior to that, on that Friday night, they had the tough home loss to East Lansing in a game that, you were at as well, too. And that was a game that went down to the wire, where they had a chance to maybe tie that game at the end before KJ Torbert made the big play. But, for them to bounce back and from that loss and, go on the road and knock off Okemos a few days later, that's pretty impressive for Waverly, and a nice job done by Coach Rod Watts with that program this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they got a chance to finish tied for second if East Lansing can beat Okemos on the last Friday of the season next week. Congratulations to Sexton. They clinched the outright CAAC White title with a win over Ionia last night. 12-0 in league play, 13-4 overall. Congrats to Coach DeLeon Deering in his first season. First league title in over a decade. And now, did I read this right? They've won 11 straight?
Yeah, they've won 11 straight. They were 2-4. With some losses to Holt, Waverly, Okemos, and then I think Kalamazoo Central. But since that 2-4 start, they've won 11 straight games, and they're 12-0 in the CAAC White.
Yeah, and it's not just Keyshawn Somerville, which we've talked a lot about this season. He's getting a lot of help. Hurley Young off the bench has been very, very good. And they got a lot of guys that can really hurt you, as evidenced by the 11 straight wins.
Yeah, no doubt. And Hurley Young is a kid. He had 18 points and that win last night. And he's got some bounce as well, too. The guy can get up there and throw down some dunks as well, too. He threw down another one last night, had an opportunity to throw down a couple more. But he's got some bounce. They've got some other guys that can do some things, too. Mario Murray, Marquise Murray, Joe Pizzo. He scored their first 6 points of the game last night. They've got a number of different guys that can get things done, and they've been really impressive with what they've been able to do to obviously give Sexton its first league title since 2012 last night.
Brian Calloway, Prep Sports Editor of the Lansing State Journal. Yeah, so Mason's the CAAC Red champs outright. Sexton's the champs in the CAAC White. I may have misspoke. Mason in the CAAC Red, Sexton in the CAAC White, and Langsburg now outright CMAC champs. And East Lansing's got a share of the CAAC Blue title. And, hey, you know what? East Lansing hosting Okemos next Friday. East Lansing could have the CAAC Blue title all wrapped up. But, hey, that game still going to be big-time game and great tournament prep for both teams.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, it's kind of crazy to think about it, but yeah, we're heading into the last week of the regular season as well, too. And I think that's definitely going to be a good game between those teams before they go down to that district in Mason, which will be a pretty strong district for sure.
All right, moving on to the girls' side. Congratulations to Williamston winning the outright CAAC Red title last night with their victory. Real nice article about Reese Gaitan, the star for Williamston. And, Coach Pete Cool, a lot of people didn't think Williamston would win the CAAC Red, at least get a piece of the title or even win it outright. A lot of people thought Hazlitt would win it. But, hey, Williamston beat Hazlitt twice this season. They're 9-0 in league play. Outright league champs for Coach Pete Cool and the Williamston Lady Hornets.
Yeah, he's done a good job with that program year in and year out. I mean, they're constantly in the conversation for league titles and done another impressive job with that group as well, too. You talked about Reese Gaitan, and obviously, she's been big for them. She's headed to Grand Valley. I mean, she had 19 points in that win over Hazlitt last week that helped them to gain at least a share of the title, and then obviously delivered another big performance last night as well, too. And they've got some other steady pieces as well, too. Claire Casey is among them, and they've got some other players that have stepped up for them throughout the season. But, Williamson's definitely been impressive in being able to go run the table so far in the CAAC Red and win the outright league title.
Yep, and so congratulations to them. Looks like it's going to be a shared title in the CAAC White. This after Portland beat Lansing Catholic at Portland High School. I was at this one. I saw you at the game too, and it was the Malia Thalen show. She was consistent all night long, 12 points in the first half, 15 points in the second half, ended up with 27, 4 3-pointers. They missed only one free throw as a team. Portland was 12 for 13. I know Tessa Rowe didn't play for Lansing Catholic on Tuesday. That was a factor, no doubt. But you know what? It was Portland's night, and they were just destined to win that game. And Malia Thalen's the main reason why.
Yeah, and the job that they did defensively was impressive as well, too.
I agree.
They really made things difficult for both Gabby Hallowell and Anna Richards. I mean, Anna Richards ended up with 20 points that game, but it was a difficult 20 points, and most of those points came in the fourth quarter after Portland has already built a double-digit lead as well, too. But they just made life miserable for them. It was hard for them to, get any clean looks. They were running them off the three-point line. I mean, there just wasn't much breathing room for either of those two that night. And, it was a strategy that worked really well for them because they took those two away, and those are two of the top scorers for Lansing Catholic, and kind of forced some other people to have to do some things for Lansing Catholic. But no, the job that Jason Hayes done at Portland, and what he's done with that group to getting them to this spot has been very, very impressive.
Certainly has. You talked about Gabby Hallowell. She's had an all-state type season for Lansing Catholic. She only had 5 points in that game. Leah Richards was held to 13, and Anna Richards had 20, but she really had to work for it. I agree with the defense for Portland was just outstanding. 16-1 overall is Portland, and Lansing Catholic is 13-4 right now. Could play each other for a third time coming up in the district in a couple of weeks because Portland hosts that district. And could be a whale of a third game between those two teams. We're talking with Brian Calloway, prep sports editor of the Lansing State Journal. The game I was at on Thursday was the game we did here on WVFN. East Lansing was at DeWitt on the girls' side, and DeWitt. It was just excellent performance by the guards again. Tara Kearns and Maddie Ewell. They were excellent, but. One of the first people that Coach Bill McCullen mentioned when we talked to him after the game was Lainey Hanlon. She did not score. She had 1 rebound and 4 steals. But he felt she really set the tone defensively in that game to help DeWitt get a 12-point win over a vastly improved East Lansing squad from last year.
Yeah, DeWitt's been impressive, too, just with the number of players that they've had step up. I mean, obviously, entering this season, a lot of people knew about Maddie Ewell and they knew about Tara Kearns based on what they've done on varsity, since they were freshmen. But, they've had a number of different people step up around them and help make them as good as they've been this season. I mean, you talked about Carly Dennis has been another person that, has been emerged as kind of the third scorer for them. They've had a number of other people step up as well too. Sophie Biland. I mean, there's just been a number of people that have been stepped up and been contributors to help DeWitt, be unbeaten in the CAAC Blue so far and be ranked in the top 10 in Division I.
Yeah, and they clinched the share of the CAAC Blue title with that victory over East Lansing. And all they got to do now is beat Holt coming up on Tuesday on the road to clinch the outright title. That won't be easy because Holt's a lot better than a lot of people thought. Without Janae Tyler, a lot of people thought that they would struggle, but they've had a very good year, 13-6 right now. Holt behind those really good guards that they have.
Yeah, and they had Claire Tobias and Rima Dozier both coming back, so they did have, even though they lost Janae Tyler, they did have a couple of some experienced players back from that team that made it to the quarterfinals a year ago. But they have been impressive this year, being right there in the thick of the CAAC Blue race. Obviously, they had a tough loss to East Lansing. I think it was earlier this week that they had East Lansing as well, too, where East Lansing was able to avenge their earlier loss to Holt. But, yeah, I mean, they have a chance to maybe prevent DeWitt from wrapping up an unbeaten league season when they play each other on Tuesday and host that game. So, but yeah, Holt has had some players step up and have strong seasons for them when you talk about Rima Dozier and you talked about Claire Tobias and even Allison Metzger as well, too, who's been a very strong three-point shooter for them.
And finally, before I let you go, we talked most of the second half of the season that the CMAC on the girls' side was a jumbled mess. It's really now down to two teams. St. Pat's at 14-1 in league play. Fowler 13-2 in league play. It's really, sifted its way out. Dansville had a rough week. They lost twice. Bath lost once this week. And it's really down to two teams, St. Pat's and Fowler. They've split during the regular season. So Fowler's going to need some help from somebody to beat St. Pat's to clinch a share of the league title. Otherwise, Al Schraben has another CMAC outright championship.
Yeah, I think Dansville has both of those teams this coming week as well, too. So they're going to, even though that they've kind of fallen out of the title picture after a couple of losses this week, they still could play a role in who ends up with the championship based on the games they have coming up against both Portland St. Patrick and Fowler. And another team that's kind of been hot in the second half of the season, they're out of the title picture right now, but Puamo Australia in that league, I mean, they knocked off Dansville. They made a big rally last night to knock off Bath, and I think that was the second win over Bath this year, if I remember correctly. But Puamo Australia has played some better basketball over the second half of the season, and to make that league even deeper than it is, because we talked about the four teams when you talked about the Bath, Dansville, Portland St. Patrick, and Fowler. But Puamo Australia has been pretty dangerous as well too, and I think Langsburg has even picked up some decent wins as well too of late.
They have. Yes, they have. It's really six deep. It goes down to Langsburg. They're 9-6 in league play, 11-7. And finally, Ovid Elsie, regional champs, 16-2 this season. We know about Ava Bates, but Braden Tokar's had a really good week. She's had a very good season. She had 20 in a big win over Durand last night. We can't sleep on Ovid Elsie. They could, haven't talked a heck of a lot about them, but you and I both know how good they are. Regional champs last year, got to the quarterfinals. Could happen again this year.
Yeah, they're having a very strong season too. I mean, the only really two hiccups, they had the loss to Portland St. Patrick on a neutral site back on Martin Luther King Day and at Saginaw Valley, and then the only other loss for them was to Williamston as well too. So those are two very quality teams that they lost to. Neither of them are in their division. So, yeah, I mean, they're a team that is capable of doing some things come state tournament time here in a couple of weeks as well, too, and a team that we definitely should be keeping an eye out on.
Brian Calloway, prep sports editor of the Lansing State Journal, LSJ.com. Brian, thanks so much for coming on. Talk to you same time next week.
Hey, sounds good, Brock. Thanks for having me.
Brian Calloway, prep sports editor of the Lansing State Journal. We'll be back next week. We will have the boys district matchups, district pairings. We will go over those during the show next week. And we'll also talk to Brian once again next week to analyze said boys districts. We got a busy day here on the Lansing Sports Network, a group of stations. The Detroit Red Wings continue their West Coast road trip this afternoon, 3:45 here on WVFN. They're at the Calgary Flames. And then live at Breslin Special 2-hour edition, 5 p.m. on 1240 WJIM and Classic Rock 94.9 MMQ with Steve Goff and Beanie Howell. That's 5 to 7 tonight out at Boston's Restaurant out in the Eastwood Town Center. Look forward to listening to that. And then at 7 o'clock, Michigan State men's basketball. They're at Michigan tonight, 7 o'clock network pregame with Will Tiemann, Matt Stankingo, Blake Froling, and the crew. That's 7 p.m., 1240 WJIM, Classic Rock 94.9 WMMQ. And we got to thank the veteran 28th-year head coach of DeWitt girls basketball. He is Bill McCullen. Thanks to him for joining us. And, of course, thanks always to Brian Calloway, the prep sports editor of the Lansing State Journal, LSJ.com. Thank you, Andy Flynn, for mentioning that, sending this to me. Morris Senior, Aubrey Rogers, who's had a great high school career out at Morris High School. She set a school record this week, 20 steals. Yes, 20 steals that she had this week in a Morris victory over Burton Atherton High School. Thank you, Andy, for sending me that. That's going to do it for me here at High School Rewind on the game 730 AM WVFN. Thank you for listening. Thanks to Jeff and Chris Metz and Dowding Industries and Megan Zemer and our great staff at the Lansing Sports Commission for sponsoring our show today and all season long. We'll be back next week. Not sure what game we're going to do next week. We're leaning towards Okemos at East Lansing, but Eric and I will talk probably tomorrow and figure out what we're going to do for that. So, for Coach McCullen and Brian Calloway, I'm Brock Palmush. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week on High School Rewind.